Smaug the Stupendous, the Unassessably wealthy, the mighty, the powerful, the tyrannical. Many words have been outlined to describe the power of Smaug, a fire drake of the Third Age, considered to be the last great dragon of Middle-earthen history. He was drawn to the vast and enormous wealth accumulated by the dwarves of the lonely mountain Erebor during King Thrall's reign. He laid waste to the nearby city of men, inhabited and named Dale, and captured the lonely mountain, driving the surviving dwarves into exile, eventually leading to the death of Thrall and Thrain. For 171 years after his takeover of Erebor, Smaug hoarded the lonely mountain's treasures to himself, concealing within the mountain, only leaving to take out food and to devour his next victims, until a company of 13 dwarves managed to enter the lonely mountain and awaken him from hibernation, correctly believing the dwarves have received assistance from the men of Lake Town upon entering the lonely mountain. Smaug left the mountain to wreak destruction upon Lake Town, nearly destroying it, before being impaled by a black arrow by Bard the Bowman. But now we have a brief understanding and comprehension of Smaug's brief lifespan. Let's get on to his size, abilities, power, and his immense, I cannot stress this enough, immense power, and why he was the greatest dragon after the Third Age. Beginning off with his size, we have to note that Smaug's actual size is unknown, as it is never explicitly mentioned in The Hobbit, and illustrations by J.R.R. Tolkien, Alan Lee, and John Ho greatly vary in size in each portrait, while the size of the front gate of the Dwarven Kingdom in illustrations seems similar to what was depicted in the live-action films. In the Atlas of Middle-earth by Karen Wynne Fornstad, Smaug is said to be about 18 metres, 59 feet in length, but this is considered to be non-canonical. Other sources for the film name Smaug as being 130 metres, aka 427 feet in length, which is greater than 2 jumbo jets combined. Tolkien gives some indication later in The Drakenside in relation to the depiction of Bilbo as portrayed in the original illustration for The Hobbit in Letter 227, which is published in the Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien. The Hobbit in the Picture of the Gold Hoard, chapter X11, is of course, apart from being fat in the wrong places, enormously too large. But, as my children at any rate understand, he is really in a separate picture or plane, being invisible to a dragon. One of few other descriptions available by Tolkien is that the secret tunnel, with 5 feet tall door and passage wide enough for 3 people to walk together, was too small for the dragon, even when he was young, when he sacked Erebor, and he considered it a tiny hole which he should have sealed up, and could not only put the tip of his jaw into the passage when he was grown and breathed out fire and vapour, not from his jaw, but nostrils instead. Additionally, the black arrow launched by Bard completely disappeared into the dragon's hind, and the corpse of Smaug severely destroyed Lake Town when it fell, decimating it. These, along with descriptions of dragons by Tolkien to possess elongated, serpentine bodies, indicate Smaug in the book could have been much larger than the above-mentioned estimation by Karen Wynne Fornstad. It is unclear whether Smaug, the largest specimen in the Third Age, would compete in mightiness to the ancestors of average size in the First Age, though he was unquestionably smaller than Ancalagon the Black, the largest known dragon to have ever existed. If you want more information on him, go to that video. Now, moving on to his powers and abilities. Being a fully grown dragon, Smaug was both massive and powerful, possessing physical strength capable of crushing stones with effortlessness. As seen by his attack on the Lonely Mountain, he was able to fly thanks to his large and vast wings, and had the ability to breathe tempests and streams of searing hot flame and vapour from his mouth and nostrils. Some comments in The Hobbit imply that his entire body was embedded with an internal blaze, as he was seen to glow in the darkness of the Lonely Mountain's depths, and his unusual past was said to be as smooth as slime. Example, melted by his passage. Like many dragons of Middle-earth, Smaug's monstrous appearance also belied keen senses and a dangerously sharp and attentive mind. He had an encyclopedic knowledge of his treasure hoard, immediately registering the theft of a single cup after Bilbo made a first visit to his lair. When the Hobbit returned a second time, Smaug was already expecting him by feigning hibernation, and immediately declared he could not sense the thief, even if he could not see him. Although Bilbo was clever enough not to fall for Smaug's attempts to trick him into revealing his exact position, The dragon used the resulting conversation to plant doubt in Bilbo's mind, correctly guessing that the burglar had allied himself with the dwarves and the men of Lake Town, and asking if Bilbo had ever considered the logistical difficulties of getting a share of Smaug's treasure back to his home. Despite his size, Smaug is shown to be agile and quick, able to leap over objects with ease, and he can dive at very high speeds with little effort. Defensively, Smaug's reddish gold scales rendered him impervious to nearly all weapons, but his underbelly was relatively soft and vulnerable. To compensate for this weakness he knew of, Smaug took to sleeping upon the gathered and accumulated treasures of the Lonely Mountain, allowing fragments of gold and jewels to embed themselves in his body. This diamond waistcoat, as it is named, was intended to cover his only physical weak spot, but when Bilbo Baggins confronted the dragon in his lair, he discovered one bare patch on the left side of his chest he failed to smother. Bard was told this by an ancient thrush that overheard Bilbo relating this information to the dwarf, enabling him to successfully defeat Smaug by shooting his black arrow into the bare patch and impaling the great dragon. Smaug's power is not to be understated, and he is unquestionably the most powerful dragon of the Third Age. It's possible that he can change, however, how his fire breath comes out, depending on the situation. In the first film, his fire was more liquid and napalm, which he had enough power to mask shears and shadowstone buildings, and its blast could spread on the ground. In the second film, his fire is similar to more typical fire, flamethrower-like torrents with immense firepower, enough to effortlessly engulf his whole body. It is possible that his breath in the second movie was not normal fire, because his priority was to kill the intruders, and not cause destruction, to protect his treasure, as well as not risk having the mountain fall down upon him. Likewise, since most of Lake Town consists of wood as opposed to the stone buildings of Dale, Smaug wouldn't need to rely on his flames to cause destruction, but just watch it spread. Even with that limitation, though, his single breath was enough to reignite the great forges of Erebor. His size is shown to grant him practically incalculable physical brute strength, sufficient enough for him to easily break through the mountain. His arm and scaly flesh is shown to be nearly impenetrable, and his natural endurance for heat is demonstrated being able to survive being submerged in molten gold. His senses are acute enough that he is able to detect the sound and smell of a hobbit, even when the One Ring rendered Bilbo invisible to the eye. It is shown that his roar from Erebor is formidable enough to be heard in Lake Town. He was as intelligent as any man, if not more. He was able to communicate with people. Visually, Smaug is shown to glow with red light from within when he was about to unleash his fiery storm, with the same red light emanating from his eyes, only dimming at the moment of the dragon's death by Bard the Bowman. In addition, his encyclopedic knowledge of his hoard is shown to be so great that he managed to feel the One Ring carried by Bilbo, describing it as something made of gold, but far more precious. Smaug is exceptionally large and powerful, and unquestionably the most powerful dragon post the Third Age, and possibly in the conversation of the top 5 most powerful dragons in all of Tolkien's works. So my stewards of Middle-earth, entities of Sauron, emissaries of the darkness, and men of the West, I hope you have enjoyed this breakdown on the most powerful dragon of the Third Age, and I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I hope that you will come back, hit the subscribe button, use the Flame of the West to strike down the like button, and ensure that you check out my Star Wars YouTube channel, Star Wars Brainbusters, if that's your cup of tea. Well, my friends, this is where we part ways. I'll see you in the gates of Moria, and I hope that you have not intruded on Smaug's treasure hoard.